Indeed, a warm welcome to one and all to CA Pratik Neve's ZES Learning for the classes of CA Final Indirect Taxes. This is our session number 2 and quickly let me know who all have joined so that we can start with today's session. Good morning to one and all. Very good morning, Ashima ji. I can see Ashima ji has joined. Yes. So shall we start with today's session? Have you all understood what we discussed yesterday? So the section wise index we were discussing of CGST Act. Just confirm whether I am properly audible and visible to all of you so that we can start with today's session. Am I properly audible and visible, guys? Just confirm quickly. Confirm. Yes, perfect. Wonderful. Amazing to know that. So now we can start, guys, with today's session. Section 7, Scope of Supply. Section 8, Taxability of Composite Supply and Mixed Supply. Section 9, Levy and Collection of GST. All these sections, friends, are of which act? All these sections are of CGST Act. Section 10, Composition Levy. 11, Exemptions. 12, Time of supply of goods. 13, Time of supply of services. 14, Time of supply of goods, services both when there is change in rate of GST. 15, Value of supply. 16, ITC eligibility and conditions. 17, ITC apportionment and blocked credits. 18, ITC in special circumstances. 19, ITC in case of job work. 20, ITC in case of input service distributor. 22 to 30, registration under GST. Are you all able to recollect these sections? Because friends, we want to do everything perfect. 22, persons liable for registration in GST. 23, cases where registration in GST is exempt. 24, compulsory registration in certain cases irrespective of turnover, 25, procedure for registration. 26, deemed registration. Means, friends, if you are registered in SGST, it is deemed that you are registered in CGST as well. Okay, then comes your 27, special provisions in case of CTP and NRTP. 28, amendment in registration. 29, cancellation of registration or suspension of registration. And 30, revocation of cancellation. So have you all followed the section wise index of CGST Act till this point? May I go ahead? And did you understand all the basics? Basics means how the typical chain in GST works. A sells goods to B, B sells goods to C, C sells goods to D. Entire burden of GST is on dash. Tell me, entire burden of GST is on end consumer. So GST is an indirect tax. It is collected by government from this A, B and C who are suppliers, but eventually the burden is on D, the end consumer. The best feature of GST is input tax credit. What is the meaning of input tax credit? Input tax credit means you can subtract the tax paid on purchase from tax payable on sales. So output tax minus input tax credit is net GST payable. Okay. Apart from that, few things that you should know and you should understand. I know you have understood those things. Those are, number one, your GST is destination based, consumption based indirect tax which follows dash model. Yes, GST is destination based, consumption based indirect tax which follows dual model where 50% of the GST goes to central government and balance 50% goes to that state government where the place of supply is. Isn't it? Friends, one more thing I want to tell you that whether it is CGST plus SGST or IGST, it depends on what? Whether it is CGST plus SGST or IGST, it depends on whether it is intra-state supply or interstate supply. If it is intra-state supply, then that means location of supplier and place of supply is in same state. Yes, location of supply, place of supply in same state, it is called as intrastate supply. Okay, on intrastate supply there is CGST plus HDST. If intrastate supply happens in union territory, then there is CGST plus UTGST, isn't it? And in case of interstate supply, there is dash. Yes, in case of interstate supply, there is IGST. Interstate supply means location of supply and place of supply are in two different states. So are you all comfortable till this point? Shall we go ahead? So of course, location of supply is where that supply is registered and place of supply has to be determined. We will see how it has to be determined. It has to be determined as per provisions of IGST Act. Clear? All of you with me till this point? May I go to 31 now? 31, we are checking section wise index. Yes, sir, absolutely. Very good. So 31 is your tax invoice. It is about tax invoice and other documents in GST. My question is, Ashima ji, are you maintaining the notebook systematically? Yes, just give me one moment. Yes, sir. Wonderful. So tax invoice and other documents. So as you know, we all are doing, section wise index of important sections. So I'm going to 34. 34 is your debit notes and credit notes. Debit notes and credit notes under GST. Debit note and credit notes. 35 accounts and records. 35 accounts and records. 36 period of retention. Period of retention of accounts and records. Are you getting it? What is the importance of accounts and records? So do you agree that in India most of the taxes like GST, customs, income tax, they are on self assessment basis. Self assessment basis means assessee himself will determine what is his liability. Assessee himself will determine what is his liability and pay that tax to the government. Okay, so to prove that he has correctly computed the liabilities, he should maintain the accounts and records. And not only maintain them, he should preserve them. So that is given in period of retention of accounts and records. Then 37 to 48. This 37 to 48 is filing of returns. It is about filing of returns under GST. What is returns? If you want to tell me in one word, what is returns? So can I say returns are those documents which give details of output tax, okay, of input tax credit, of net GST payable, of the taxes paid. So basically return has nothing to do with refund. Huh? Return is a document which give details of all these things. Okay, 49 is payment of GST. What is 49? Payment of GST. 50 is interest for delay in payment of GST. What is 50? Interest for delay in payment of GST. Okay, this interest you will understand as we go ahead is at the rate of 18% per annum. 51 TDS, that is tax deducted at source under GST, and TCS under GST. When you would have studied at the inter level, you wouldn't be having, maybe you wouldn't be having 51, 52 in your syllabus. But in new intermediate, they have 51 and 52 also in their syllabus. Okay. So anyways, we will be learning it from scratch. This 51 and 52, which is tax collected at source under GST. That is basically TCS. Yes, Ashima, perfect. Done till this point. May I go ahead, guys? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead. 53 is transfer of credits. What is 53? 53 is transfer of credits. Okay. Then friends, 54, 54 to 58, 54 to 58 is refunds under GST. What it is? Refunds under GST. Then your 59 to 64 is basically assessments under GST. Assessment under GST. So you will say that we have got self-assessment, right? We have got self-assessment, but officer can check your books on test check basis. That is called as scrutiny assessment. Okay, then as a registered person, you may not be cooperating with the government. You may not be cooperating with the government. So you may not be filing the returns. So best judgment assessment will be done of non-filers of return. There could be some people who are doing good business but may not be registering themselves in GST. So for them, it will be best judgment assessment of, unregistered persons. So this way, different type of scrutinies have to be done. Okay, of the in case of GST. So those scrutinies, those assessments are discussed in 59 to 64 of CGST Act. 65, 65 is audit under GST. This basically is your general audit given in section 65. This is audit under GST by tax authorities. Then 66 is special audit. If there is any reason to believe, that there is an undervaluation, okay, or extra ITC has been claimed, then in those cases, special audit can be ordered. So that is 66. Then friends, your 67 to 72, your 67 to 72 is the chapter of inspection, search, seizure and arrest and arrest. 73. Okay, you're 73. Basically, I am interested in 73 and 74. 73 and 74 is demand under GST. 73 is demand under GST. In what cases? Where fraud is not involved. Where fraud is not involved. That is 73. Demand under GST where fraud is not involved. This GST is demanded by issue of show cause notice. 74 again is demand under GST. It is demand under GST, but where fraud is involved. Where fraud is involved. Okay, so how the officer demands GST? Okay, what are the provisions for issue of something called as show cause notice? This is purely applicable here at your final level. This was not there at intermediate level. Okay, then after that, what matters the most in your syllabus are the provisions of advance rulings. Okay. Oh, nice to know that, Ashima ji, that you have made replies for the same in your articleship against the demand notices. Wonderful. Very nice to know that. Then comes 95 to 106. Section 95 to 106, that is advance rulings under GST. Okay, advance rulings under GST means in certain cases a person who is going to do business, okay, may apply for advance ruling under GST. He can take decision of particular aspect of GST in advance. For example, what is going to be the value, what is going to be the time of supply, okay, what is going to be the scope of supply, whether registration at all is required under GST. Of all these issues, a decision can be obtained in advance by him so that he can smoothly do the business later on. That is called as advance rulings in GST. Okay, then from 107 to 121, from 107 to 121 is chapter of appeals. It is chapter of appeals under GST. Okay, 122 to 138 is chapter of offences and penalties. Offences and penalties. Okay, what is appeals in GST? So, as Ashima is saying that she has done, replies for the show cause notice. So, registered person will have to show the cause as to why he is not liable to pay that extra demanded GST. Getting it? He will have to show the cause. Now, if he is not able to show the cause, then government will issue adjudication order. Okay, demand order for demanding the GST. Getting my point? So now, if you are not, if you feel you are not liable to pay that extra demanded GST, then you can go in appeals. Okay, that is called as appeals, 107 to 121. So that was appeals under GST. Then if you have done some offense, then you will have to pay the penalty for that offense. So offenses and penalty, 122 to 138. 139 to 142, 139 to 142 is not that relevant at this point of time. They are transition provisions. Transition provisions means you had to shift from VAT, excise, service tax and other laws From those laws, you had to shift in GST. So as of today, it is not so much applicable and not so much relevant, I would say, because you shifted from earlier tax laws to GST in July 2017 when this GST law came into existence. Getting it? Then 143 to 160 rather to 174 is your miscellaneous. 143 to 174 is your miscellaneous. Clear? So is the section wise index clear to all of you, especially of the important sections? Yes, sir. This all was of CGST Act. Now few sections that compulsorily we should know of IGST Act. Okay. Number one, which sections you should know of IGST Act? Section 5, that is levy and collection. What is section 5? Levy and collection of IGST. Today only you will do it. Believe me or not, today only you will do section 9 of CGST Act. Along with that, we'll also do section 5 of IGST Act. Okay, we have to compare both the sections of levy and collection. So section 5, section 6 is exemptions, but anyways 5 is important. 6 anyways you're going to do along with 11. Then what matters most is 10, 11, 12, 13. Anyone wants to guess what is 10, 11, 12, 13? 10, 11, 12, 13 are provisions of place of supply. So again, maybe in your CA intermediate syllabus, this particular topic was not there. Okay. What are you saying? What did I tell in the inter level? So 10, 11, 12, 13 is place of supply. 12 is place of supply of goods other than in case of imports and exports. Other than in case of imports and exports. 11. 11 is place of supply of goods. Place of supply of goods in case of imports and exports. In case of imports and exports. Now you know why you have to identify place of supply, so that you can understand whether it is intrastate supply or interstate supply. Because if location of supplier and place of supply is in same state, it is intrastate. If it is in different states, it is interstate. So for that purpose, don't you think you need to understand how to determine place of supply? So that is determined in 10, 11, 12, 13. The CA Inter new syllabus has this as a different topic, place of supply, in which they have 10 and 12. Okay, so if you are CA Inter new syllabus students, you would have already done 10 and 12. Okay, but if you are old syllabus students, then you have not done this at all. But absolutely nothing to worry. We are going to start with scratch of place of supply at your final level. Yes, absolutely, Ashimaji. That 5 of IGST Act and 9 of CGST Act are comparable. Yes. Today only I'll show you the comparison. And then comes 12, 13. What is 12? 12 is services. Means place of supply of services, where both supplier and recipient of supply are in India. Are in India. Is it clear to all of you? And 13 is place of supply of services where either supplier or recipient of supply is outside India. Is outside India. Did you all follow this? Yes, sir. Then what else we should do? We should do section 15 of IGST Act. What is 15 of IGST Act? 15 of IGST Act is zero, rather 16 is zero rated supply, 16 is zero rated supply, and 15 is refund of GST. Refund of GST for tourist. Yesterday I was explaining this to you. For tourist leaving India. Did you understand? Yes, sir. Absolutely clear what we should do in GST. Shall we go ahead, friends? Have you all got it till this point? Is the index done in a notebook also? And at least 75 to 80% of sections content is with you. Yes, sir. Yesterday I had done something, the typical chain in GST. Do you remember typical chain in GST? Yes or no? Yes. Typical chain in GST you remember. By end of today's session, I would like to prove to you, and I would like to go in depth of that typical chain in GST. Okay, that I would like to do by end of today's session. But before that, I would now start section 9 and section 5, section 9 of CGST Act and section 5 of IGST Act, that is levy and collection. Whenever you are studying any law or any act, okay, especially tax law, then you should study the charging section, because that is the section, okay, which tells you that on happening of which event that particular tax will become applicable. So are you all set? Shall we start with section 9 of CGST Act, that is levy and collection? So section 9 of CGST Act 2017 and section 5 of IGST Act 2017. Yes, this is levy and collection. Levy and collection. Okay. Okay, friends, pay attention now, because of course all things you might have studied at intermediate level, but here the angle is different, the perspective is different, the depth is different. Ready all of you? Check. So for some of the sections we go in the wordings of the Bare Act. Why we go in wordings of Bare Act? Because we want to be, professional chartered accountants who can, decide based on, the bare text of the law, who can do proper consultation in GST in future. Okay, and of course that will help you to score good marks also in the exam. But point is understanding GST to the core. Clear? Shall we start section 9 of CGST Act? These notes will be there in your drive. Okay, it will be there in your Google Drive. So that Google Drive link will be shared with all of you who are subscribing to the batch, and these notes will be there with you. Okay, the notebook to you are maintaining, both the notebooks, provisions and concepts and sums notebook, both notebooks you are maintaining, and at periodic intervals, whatever notebook I am maintaining, its soft copy will be given to you. Clear, na? All of you, handwritten notes, soft copy will be given to you. That is a bonus for you. But point is, you should be maintaining it yourself as well. Chalo, shall we start, guys? Are you all with me? Yes, sir. Let us start. Let us start. Section 9 of CGST Act. Levy and collection. Pay attention. Subject to provisions of subsection 2, there shall, friends, shall means, is it compulsory or optional? It is compulsory. There shall be levied means charged a tax. Which tax? Called as CGST, on which supply all intra-state supplies of goods or service or both. Then can you see this comma? Can you see this comma? Except on supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Can you see another comma? Keep this sentence outside. As of now, for 2 minutes keep it outside. How to read it? Subject to provisions of subsection 2, there shall be levied a tax called as CGST on intrastate supply of goods or service or both on the value on which this GST will be charged will be determined under section 15. Can you check in your index what is section 15? Section 15 is value of supply. Getting it? And at such rates not exceeding 20%, keep not exceeding 20% aside, on the value determined under section 15, and at such rates as may be notified by government on recommendation of council, GST council, council means GST council, and collected in such manner as may be prescribed. Prescribed means prescribed where? Prescribed in the rules, and shall be paid by taxable person. Shall be paid by taxable person. So who will pay GST to the government? GST to the government will be paid by taxable person. Friends, many things to be understood. It seems straightforward, but many hints are involved in this. Many points worth understanding. Except on supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption means alcoholic liquor for human consumption is permanently kept out of GST. So if you want to levy GST on alcoholic liquor for human consumption, you will have to amend section 9 of CGST Act and corresponding section 5 of IGST Act. For that, you'll have to first amend provisions in Constitution, because provisions in Constitution says that on alcoholic liquor for human consumption there shall be state taxes. So GST cannot be charged on this as per the Constitution. Now that provision of Constitution has been reflected in section 9(1) of CGST Act, stating that there cannot be GST on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Is it clear, Ashima ji? Sudarshan ji? Yes. And the what is the maximum rate of GST? The maximum rate of GST is 20%. Which GST? Which act we are learning? Which act we are reading? We are reading, yes, CGST Act. So the maximum rate of CGST cannot exceed dash percent. It cannot exceed 20%. Shall we go ahead and analyze this? Come up to your notebook. I'll tell you how to analyze this. On intra-state supply, on intrastate supply, what will happen? CGST, by the way, plus SGST. Now this plus SGST will be given in SGST Act, SGST Acts, or UTGST. This, if you read UTGST Acts charging section, you will find this. So this will be given in UTGST Act. Getting it? So right now our focus is on this because we are studying 9 of CGST Act. Clear? So on intrastate supply, CGST plus SGST slash UTGST. So automatically on interstate supply, what will be chargeable? On interstate supply, there will be chargeable IGST. Where this is given, this will be given in IGST Act 2017. And you know section 5 of IGST Act 2017. Did you understand, friends? But on interstate supply of what? Of goods, services, goods. Where is goods defined? Section 2, clause 52. Where is services defined? Section 2, clause 102. Getting my point? Kashish ji. So if particular things is not goods, there will be no GST on that. So it has to be either goods or service for GST to be chargeable. Clear? Shall we go ahead? Yes. Then if I want to analyze next point, no GST on supply of, yes, no GST on supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Means this alcoholic liquor for human consumption, I can say, is permanently kept out of GST. It is, friends, permanently kept out of GST. Did you get my point? As you know, provisions of constitution, to be very specific, article 266 1A, as provisions of constitutions allow only state taxes on the same. Is it clear to all of you? Yes or no? So you can say state VAT may be chargeable on it. So it doesn't go, of course, tax free, but state taxes or state duties are charged on the same. Have you all got it till this point? May I go ahead? Yes. Did you observe one point? If you have not observed it, please observe it. Rates of GST. We are in section 9. The rates of GST shall be as per notification. Did you understand? Rates of GST shall be as per notifications. So what is the source of rate of GST? Okay, your client is starting a business, okay, of manufacturing such stylus for tabs, for mobiles, then for laptops, whatever. How will you find out rate of GST for these goods? So part G, you will have to go to the notifications. You'll have to go to classification of those goods in the notification and accordingly find out the rate of GST. Getting it? Yes. So rate of GST shall be as per notification. But what is the maximum rate of CGST that may be notified? So this is an instruction to government. This is not instruction to supplier. This is instruction to government. So maximum rate of CGST that may be notified is 20%. SGST, again in SGST Act you will get 20%. In UTGST Act you will get 20%. So what is the maximum rate of GST that may be notified? So therefore total that may be notified is 40%. Getting it? And if I talk about maximum rate of IGST, so of course it will be given in the section 5 of IGST Act. IGST is integrated, now combined, so it will be directly 40%. Do you all agree with me on this? Are you all enjoying the depth of the session? How each word can matter? Now, when you give consultation, these small things matter. That you cannot Google rate of GST for stylus. You cannot do that. You have to understand that rate of GST will be as per notification. You'll have to go to the notification determining rates of GST. You'll have to go to the classification. Okay, in the classification, you'll understand. Yes. So, Parth ji, did you follow yesterday's session? Yes. So, let's go ahead now. These rates shall be applied on what? They shall be applied on value. They shall be applied on value which will be determined as per section 15 of CGST Act. Okay, these rates shall be applied on value which will be determined as per section 15 of CGST Act. And you know, in IGST Act also, section 5, they will say that rate will be as value determined in section 15 of CGST Act. So again in IGST Act, you will not have separate what? Separate value calculation. Clear till this point? Shall we go ahead? What else section 15, sorry, section 9 tells you? What else section 9 tells you? GST shall be collected from whom? GST shall be collected from whom? Collected means literally for government, what is the collection point of GST? So GST shall be collected from, read this, it shall be collected from taxable person. GST shall be collected from taxable person. Now, who is taxable person? Taxable person means person who is registered. Person who is registered or liable to be registered in GST or liable to be registered under GST. It's very deep. It's very deep. Just besides your house or besides your office, observe there are small chaiwalas, the tea sellers, small tea sellers. What do you think? They are registered in GST or unregistered in GST? These small tea sellers. So person who is registered or liable to be registered in GST is called as taxable person. Where is taxable person defined? In CGST of Act, of course, taxable person is defined. Section 2, I think clause 107. Section 2 clause 107. No. I am on to some different point. Ashima ji, I want to tell you something else. Yes. Section 2 clause 107 is taxable person. I want to tell you some point. It is like this. Will every person doing taxable supply be called as taxable person? No. Why no? In order to be taxable person, you have to be registered or liable to be registered under GST. Then you are called as taxable person and GST will be collected by government from you. Did you get the point? Did you understand? Ashima ji? That's what I wanted to tell you. So that chaiwala, that tea seller is selling tea, but his turnover is such that registration is not required under GST. So we cannot call him as taxable person. Getting it? But same tea if you have in a restaurant, okay, then you have it in MBA chaiwala, same tea, then that MBA chaiwala is a taxable person because he is registered or liable to be registered under GST. Did you get my point? Yes. So GST shall be collected from taxable person. And lastly, I want to tell you one more point here. That is the procedure of collection. Means when to pay, which form to file, okay, which challan to make. So this procedure for payment will be as prescribed. As prescribed means it will be as per CGST rules. Did you all get the points, guys? Did we miss anything? Just check. Subject to provisions of subsection 2, there shall be levied a tax called as CGST on intrastate supplies of goods or services or both, except on supply of alcoholic liquor for consumption on the value determined under section 15 and at such rate not exceeding 20% as may be notified by government on recommendation of council and collected in such manner as may be prescribed and shall be paid by taxable person. Each and every line, each and every point, I hope, is absolutely clear to all of you. Yes or no? This completes your 9-1 and 5-1. May I go to subsection 2? May I go to subsection 2? Okay, subsection 2 is very simple. On following 5 fuels. How many fuels? On following 5 fuels, there shall be no GST. There shall be no GST temporarily. And now this temporarily is happening from past so many years. From July 17 onwards till date, these 5 fuels are not introduced in GST. Okay, because of the apprehensions of government, there are other taxes existing on these 5 fuels. Other taxes like national duties, like some local taxes, some state taxes. So government does not want to disturb their revenue. Okay, so tax on petrol, diesel may be as high as 66%. Okay, so government does not want to disturb that. And how much state collects and how much center collects, that there is a different ratio. So government doesn't want dual model in that case. Okay, but constitution allows state also and center also to tax it simultaneously. So they cannot keep it permanently out. So they have kept it temporarily out. Okay, they say that in future we will charge GST on these 5 fuels by from the date notified. So in future we'll have a notification and we will charge GST on these 5 fuels. So the central tax on supply of petroleum crude, high speed diesel, motor spirit, that is petrol, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel. Count how many fuels? Ashima ji, Parth ji, Sudarshan ji. 5 fuels. On these 5 fuels, it shall be levied with effect from such date as may be notified by government on recommendation of council. Did you all understand? So on following 5 fuels, there shall be no GST temporarily. Let's write name of those 5 fuels. Petroleum crude, natural gas, of course, if you will, yes, it is as high as 66%. Yes, yes, it's very shocking that taxes on this is very high. So if even if 40% full GST is charged on that, then also government will lose lot of revenue. So natural gas, petroleum, crude, aviation, turbine, fuel, ATF, that is your fuel required for aeroplanes. Then motor spirit. Motor spirit means petrol and high speed diesel. Did you all get it? Shall we go ahead? 5(2) in IGST Act will be parallel. It will say that no IGST for time being on these 5 fuels. All of you with me till this point? Have you understood each and everything? Yes. Subsection 3. But before going to 3 and 4, I would like to tell you one concept. Okay, that of course you know that, but would like to make it very clear to all of you. The concept of FCM, concept of forward charge mechanism, FCM. All of you with me? What is FCM? What is forward charge mechanism? Forward charge mechanism means, with example I will tell you, okay, with example I will tell you, you have joined classes with CA Pratik Neves Zest Learning. You have joined classes with CA Pratik Neves Zest Learning. Yes, yes, Ashima. Still government is collecting direct taxes also. Yes, absolutely. And not only that, still we are in fiscal deficit. Means still these funds are insufficient to run the government. So CA Pratik Neves Zest Learning you have joined. So CA Pratik Neves Zest Learning has many students, has many students. So can I say that this Zest Learning is supplier and students are recipient of supply? Do you agree with me? Suppose your fees are 10,000 plus GST 1800. Just an assumption. So fees is 11,800 per student. Tell me this 1800 who will pay to government? Who will pay this 1800 to government? Yes, who will pay this 1800 to government? Students will go to government and pay, or CA Pratik Neves Zest Learning will pay. So of course this 1800 rupees of GST will be paid to government by the supplier. Do you agree with me? So the point that it is liability of supplier. It is liability of supplier to pay GST to government. It is liability of supplier to pay GST to government. This is called as forward charge mechanism. So is the concept of forward charge mechanism understood by all of you? And of course, there has to be FCM in 99.999999% cases. So forward charge mechanism is a usual charge. It's a usual charge. Why it's a usual charge? Because of convenience. Why it is a usual charge? As government finds it convenient Government finds it convenient to GST collect GST from supplier Why? As he is organized. Did you get my point? 99.9999% cases there will be FCM. Okay, we all go for movie in a theater. Who is liable to pay GST to the government? Theater owner. Getting it? On students, on recipient of supply, there will be burden. Burden of what? Burden of paying GST. Burden of GST. But who will pay to government is supplier. Did you understand? So nothing new. You know this. You go to mall, and in a mall you go to particular shop, you buy clothes. Burden of GST is on you. But who pays GST to the government? The shopkeeper. Have you as an end customer ever went to government and paid GST? That government, we saw a movie of 200 rupees ticket, so we will make a challan of 36 and pay GST to the government. No, not possible. You pay 236 to the theater owner pays 36 to the government. Did you get my point, all of you? Meaning of FCM. Why I'm telling you FCM? Because at this juncture now we have to discuss reverse charge mechanism. So is first of all FCM understood by all of you? Yes, no guys? Waiting for your reply. Waiting guys for your reply. Waiting. Shall we go ahead and check concept of reverse charge mechanism? Where are you? Yeah, got it. Yes. So see what is reverse charge mechanism. Again with example, multiple examples. Giving you the first one. There is LIC agent. LIC agent gives service to LIC. LIC agent gives service to LIC. What service? Service of soliciting clients. Service of soliciting clients. Soliciting clients means getting the client. How is the business model? Business model is that LIC agent is not, as the name suggests, is agent. He is not employee. He is not employee of LIC. He is a independent agent. He gets client for LIC. Okay, and when he gets the client for LIC, what LIC pays him? LIC pays him commission. Okay, say this commission is rupees 5 lakh. My question is very simple. I can call this LIC agent as supplier of services. I can call LIC as recipient of supply? Do you all agree with me? Yes, sir. You will find, as a government, you analyze and tell me, you will find it easy to collect GST from whom? From lakhs of LIC agents or few LIC branches? It is easy to collect GST from whom? Lakhs of LIC agents or few LIC branches? So of course, it is easy to collect GST from LIC branches, less in numbers, organized. So on this 5 lakh, GST at say 18%, 90,000, this ROS will calculate and pay to the government. Reverse charge mechanism. Did you understand? So what is reverse charge mechanism? In notified cases, not in all cases and not where you like it, but in notified cases, it shall be liability of recipient of supply to pay GST to government. Okay, this is called as what? This is called as reverse charge mechanism. Is it 100% clear to all of you? What is reverse charge mechanism? Liability of ROS to pay GST to the government is reverse charge mechanism. Did you understand? Shall we go ahead? Logic. What is the logic? Convenience in certain cases to collect GST from ROS instead of suppliers. Did you understand? Cost of collection will be less. So you want to lower the cost of collection. Lesser the cost of collection, better it is. Did you understand? Shall we go ahead, guys? Once you have completed, say see in the chat window. And don't worry, at periodic intervals, I'll keep on sending you the notebook soft copy. Okay, but sending daily is not possible. Clear? Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Let's go ahead. Let us read at least 9.3 today. 9.4 we will do at later stage in this batch. Okay, at least I want RCM concept to be done right now. The government may. So the government may, on recommendation of council by notification. So government may notify what? Specify categories of supply of goods or services or both, the tax on which shall be paid on, tax on which shall. So for government, whether to notify or not, it is their perspective. Whether to notify or not is government's lookout. But once notified, what will happen? Once notified, the tax on this shall be paid on reverse charge basis. Tax on this shall be paid on reverse charge basis by recipient of such goods or services. Did you get my point? Or both, and all the provisions of this act shall apply to such recipient as if he is the person liable for paying tax in relation to supply of such goods or services, or both. So all provisions of the act will apply as if he is the person liable for paying GST. Did you all understand what is RCM? Yes, many students are asking, sir, how many sessions will be there on YouTube? Yes, so I'll tell you straightforward. On YouTube, about 6 sessions will be there. So after section 9, we will start with section 15. Of course, after section 9, I will first explain to you how the whole typical chain gets completed. Means I'll go in depth of the logic of that typical chain, and I will explain you dual model, how exactly 50% goes to that government where ultimate consumption happens. So I'll tell you that in detail, which involves 53 also, transfer of credits, and which involves utilization of ITC to pay output tax. So basics, then this thing, transfer of credits, and then value of supply. These things will be there with you as a demo on YouTube. Logic will be covering lot of these basics plus one numerical topic, that is of value of supply, including its rules. So then of course friends, you can decide, those who are watching demo, whether you want to go for the main batch or not. If you want to go for the main batch, straightforward thing you have to do is you have to WhatsApp on this number 9028777829. This is a common number for taking admission as well as doubt solving. Okay, so you can WhatsApp on this number, and I hope you know other details of this batch. Of course, if you want details of the batch, you can say hi on this WhatsApp number. We'll send you all the details. Okay, and I am quite sure you have subscribed to our channel CA Pratik Neve. Okay, let's go ahead guys. So you have understood RCM. RCM is whose liability to pay GST to the government. RCM is liability of recipient of supply to pay GST to the government. Is it 100% clear to all of you? Shall we go ahead? Yes. So of course, this is our beginning of discussion of RCM. As we go ahead in the batch, we'll keep on discussing more and more about reverse charge mechanism. Now comes one unique section, section 9, subsection 5 of CGST Act. Amazing idea that government has got in 9.5. What is 9.5? It is liability. So see, in 9.1, it is liability of supplier to pay GST to the government. In 9.3, it is liability of recipient of supply to pay GST to the government. In 9.5, it is liability of electronic commerce operator. It is liability of ECO to pay GST to government. To pay GST to government in case of notified only and only what? Services supplied through it. Supplied through it. Are you getting it? Some notified services, when they are supplied through ECO, it is liability of ECO to pay GST to the government. So what exactly is happening? Tell us. See, example I will give you, simple example I will give you. There are cab drivers here. There are cab drivers. Cab drivers 15 years back, 10 years back, they used to search for passengers. Sometimes they used to go passengerless, and passengers used to search for cab drivers, and they used to go inconvenient cabless. Okay, now one company understood their problem. Let's take example of this company, Ola. There is Uber also, Rapid also, but I'm just taking example of Ola. Ola is an electronic commerce operator. Ola built a platform. On that platform path, they invited cab drivers. They invited cab drivers. Cab drivers are suppliers. They invited cab drivers to list their services on this Ola as a platform. And they also invited passengers who are the recipient of supplies on this app. That's why they want you on this app. That's why when you refer this app to someone, they give you discounts. They give you a lot of offers. Because more the passengers, okay, better it is for the Ola. So now friends, on one end there is suppliers, on other end there is recipient of supply. Service will be taken through an app called as Ola. So when you say that I'm booking cab with Ola, you are actually not taking service of Ola. Actually, whose service you are taking? Actually, you are taking service of, yes, cab driver. Are you getting my point? Did you understand? So now, can government collect GST from this cab drivers? Government says this is such a comfortable, luxury service that at the doorstep I am getting the cab as a passenger. Very luxury service. So government says if 100 rupees is the ride, let 5 rupees be GST. So let customer have burden of 105. Customer doesn't bother paying that 5 rupees of GST. Question is, who will pay this GST to the government? Cab driver is bit unorganized. Do you agree? So he will not pay GST to the government. You cannot ask passenger to pay 5 rupees to the government. So who will pay this 5 rupees to the government? So ECO will pay GST of rupees 5 to the government. Did you understand? So whose liability it is to pay GST to the government? Exactly. It is liability of ECO to pay GST to the government. Did you get my point, guys? 100%? Understood? So this is first notified service. What is the first notified service? Motor cab services for transport of passengers. Did you all understand this? May I go ahead? If possible, if readily available, I will show you invoice. I will show you Ola invoice. Okay, I want to show you Ola's invoice. So this is one more segment of this batch, my dear friends. I have made something called as GST lab with me. So I'll keep on showing you various invoices. Not only that, I'll keep on showing you, GST portal, my GST portal, that is www.gst.gov.in. Okay, I'll keep on showing you those things. So anyways, today readily it's not available, but 100% I'll bring it in class. I'll bring it on this file in next 1 to 2 days and show you Ola invoice also. But did you get it? May I go ahead? Then I will show you hotel bill to prove that GST is not charged on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. In hotel, even if you have cocktail, you know what is cocktail? Cocktail will have a base of alcohol. So even if you have cocktail in the hotel, on that cocktail, VAT will be charged. And on food bill, GST will be charged. Are you getting my point? Shall we go ahead, friends? So I'll keep on showing you a lot of things that support what we are learning. And I call it as GST lab. So we'll keep on visiting that GST lab and keep on checking these things. Okay, next, second notified service. This was first notified service. Now going to second notified service. See, there is Airbnb. Do you know what is? Okay, there is a person called as Mr. Joseph. This Mr. Joseph he has listed his property at Goa. He has listed his property at Goa, okay, on Airbnb. Where he has listed his property on Airbnb. So Airbnb is an app. Airbnb is an ECO. Airbnb is an ECO. Okay, and here is Mr. Pratik Neve. So I want to go to Goa and I want to stay in a property of Mr. Joseph. Where did I find property of Mr. Joseph? I found it on Airbnb. Did you get my point? So Mr. Pratik is end customer, means he is recipient of supply. Actually it is Mr. Joseph's property. So Mr. Joseph is supplier, but he is unregistered in GST. He is unregistered in GST. And he has listed his property on Airbnb. Friends, if you try apps like this, Airbnb and all, say they tell you the tariff is 10,000 rupees, but they will put a asterisk and they will say excluding GST. And when you try paying the bill, it will include say 1800 rupees GST. So in the end, as a customer, you'll end up paying 11,800. My question to you is very simple. Who will pay this 1800 rupees GST to the government? Mr. Joseph? No, because he's unregistered in GST. End customer, will you go to government and pay this? No. So who will pay? ECO will pay to the government this 1800 rupees. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Yes, sir. So, what is this notified service? Accommodation service. Which service we are talking about? Accommodation service provided by whom? Provided by unregistered person under GST. Did you understand what service we are talking about? Supplied through ECO. It will be liability of ECO to pay GST. Did you get it? All of you? Shall we go ahead? 100%? All of you with me? Okay, let's go ahead now. The third service. Can I tell you next? There is Mr. Jignesh, who is a carpenter. Who is a carpenter who is unregistered under GST. Who is unregistered under GST. There is a customer who is searching for carpenter. Can you tell me where can I find carpenter, electrician, plumber? So there is an app called as Urban Company. This Urban Company, many such carpenters have listed themselves. So can I say this carpenter is supplier, customer is recipient of supply? For this service, amount charged was say 500 and GST of 90. Who will pay this GST to the government? Of course, not the unregistered carpenter, not the recipient of supply. So, Urban Company, very good, will pay this GST to the government. Getting it? So, isn't it becoming, in this case, liabilities of ECO to pay GST to the government? So government literally wanted GST to be applicable in these cases. So they have found out a solution that okay, it's okay even if supplier or ROS is not directly paying to government. Let it be that ECO who will be liable to pay to the government. Did you all understand? So what should I say here? What is notified? Can I say housekeeping services? Housekeeping services provided by provided by unregistered persons under GST. Can I say that, guys? So how many notified services supplied through ECO? It is liability of ECO to pay GST. You have understood till this point? Have you all understood three services till this point? Yes, no. Can I go to the fourth service? There are five services in total. Can I go to the fourth service? You'll understand it easily. Fourth service is like this. See, pay attention. There is one bus, there is one bus service called as Sangeetam Travels. So this Sangeetam Travels is a partnership firm and there is a passenger here. There is a passenger here. So Sangeetam Travels have listed themselves on an app called as Redbus. So Redbus is that ECO, intermediary. Okay. So now passenger books a ticket for 1000 rupees plus GST of 50 because GST on travel is at 5%. 1050. Tell me who is liable to pay GST to the government? Of course, passenger can't go to government and pay 50 rupees. Sangeetam Travels cannot pay. So who is liable to pay? ECO. ECO is liable to pay GST to the government in such cases. Did you understand? So what are we talking about? We are talking about bus operator other than company. If it's a company, they will themselves pay. Bus operator other than company, bus operator other than company providing, of course, travel services. Did you all understand this notified service? Yes or no? Say D in the chat window as you complete this. Then I will tell you last notified service for the purpose of 9.5. Can we discuss last notified service? Rohan, hello, how are you? I hope you are doing wonderfully well. Yes. Last notified service, let's go to that with an bang, with an example. Okay, so there is one restaurant called as Relax. There is one Relax restaurant. Okay, and there is a customer. Customer is ordering one dish, one food from one food dish from this Relax restaurant via app called as Zomato. Zomato is ECO. What do you think? Who is liable to pay GST? Say it is of 500 and GST is 25. Bill amount is 525. Who is liable to pay GST to the government? ECO will pay GST to the government. Did you get my point? Neither the restaurant nor the customer. Rohanji, did you get the point? So what is this point? Be very careful. What is this point? This point is restaurant services provided by such a restaurant provided by such a restaurant which is not in premises of a hotel which gives which gives accommodation services which gives accommodation services by charging room rent of rupees 7,000 of more than rupees 7,500 per day. What did you understand? Hey, Ashima? Yes. So what did you understand from this? See, I want to tell you one more example. All of you know JW Marriott. Okay, all of you know JW Marriott. So what happened? No one will do this. Most of us will not do this. But in premises of JW Marriott, there is one Italian restaurant. There is one Italian restaurant in premises of JW Marriott. Okay. And from that, I ordered one dish via Zomato. Via Zomato. Now it is not liability of Zomato to pay GST. Of course, not liability of recipient of supply to go to government and pay GST. Now it will be this JW Marriott who will pay GST to the government. Ask me why? Because JW Marriott, in this JW Marriott, there are rooms of which charges are more than rupees 7,500 per day. So government believes more on whom in this case? Government believes more on that JW Marriott in this case rather than Zomato. Did you get my point? Yes, no, Ashima ji. So if your restaurant is in premises of such a hotel where such type of rooms are located, then it is liability of that hotel to pay GST to the government. Shall we go ahead? Can I read 9.5? Wonderful. So see, last thing for today. Last thing for today. So approximately see 1 hour 40 minutes. From 1 hour 40 minutes, our session is going on. Government may, so government may like it. So government has a choice whether to notify for 9.5 purpose or not. Like they had a choice whether to notify 9.3 purpose. But once they notify, then it is shall. Means once it is notified for RCM, then RCM has to be followed. Once notified for ECO, then ECO has to pay GST. So government may on recommendation of council by notification specify category of, can you see services? The tax on intrastate supplies of which shall be paid by ECO if such services are supplied through it. Oh, that's nice compliment. पता ही नहीं चला time का is. What else can I ask for? That's what happens now, because It's not only about learning. You're writing also. And we are doing all the things with example. And imagine if numericals we solve, then to time will fly, isn't it? This is at least provisions that we are discussing. But when numericals come into picture, then the time will fly like anything. Okay. If such services are supplied through it, see through it. So ECO is a medium, ECO is a intermediary, and all the provisions of this act, means CGST Act, shall apply to such ECO as if he is the supplier liable for paying tax in relation to supply of such services. Clear? Now, I would like to tell you one thing. Our Airbnb is not in India. Airbnb is not in India. Why I'm telling you this? If Airbnb is not in India, then who will pay GST in India? Airbnb has just floated an app on the App Store, on the Google Play, but it is not physically in India. So there are provisos for this. So there are provisos. There are two provisos to section 9 subsection 5 of CGST Act. May I tell you what are the provisos? If first proviso is that if ECO does not have physical presence in India, then who will pay the GST? If ECO does not have physical presence in India, then it shall be liability of mind you, representative. Who? Representative of such ECO in India to pay GST. Government is very serious. Government is very serious about this. They are saying if ECO does not have physical presence in India, because that is quite possible, you might be using foreign apps. Okay, so government is saying nothing to worry. We will set it as a liability of representative of ECO to pay GST. But they may complain that we don't have representative in India, isn't it? So they give second proviso. If, however, if no representative in India, if ECOs complained that we don't have representative in India, then it means ECO shall appoint what? Appoint a representative in India for paying GST. For paying GST. Did you understand? They'll have to appoint representative in India for paying GST. Did you all understand? This is your proviso number 2. Check. Provided that where ECO does not have physical presence in taxable territory, any person representing such ECO for any purpose in the taxable territory shall be liable to pay tax. Provided further that where an ECO does not have physical presence in taxable territory and also does not have representative in the said territory, such ECO shall appoint a person in the taxable territory for purpose of paying tax, and such person shall be liable to pay tax. Yes, they will have to do that, Ashima, because that's how serious government has been on this matter. Otherwise, they wouldn't have, brought provisos for this. So when you have brought provisos for this, and when you are using such harsh words that, and such person shall be liable to pay tax and all. When you are using such harsh words, you will have to follow these provisions. Is it clear to all of you till this point? Is 9.5 also clear? Yes or no? Let me know, so that what happens? We can end this session. If you have understood all these things, we can comfortably end this session. In next session, what we will do? In next session, what we will do? We'll keep on discussing such things. What is to be done in next session, so that you can get an idea. So in next session, we will do one exam question. One exam question on section 9.5. Okay, that is one thing we will do. Second thing we will do is transfer of credits. What we will do? Transfer of credits. But for doing that, we will need understanding of 49.5 of CGST Act. So I'll discuss this in detail with you, and this we will do with one example. So what will happen? Because of this, typical chain in GST, typical chain in GST will get more clear. It will get more clear with understanding of dual model. Okay, dual model of GST, dual model of GST, that will get more clearer to you when we do these things. So I want to do them in the next coming session. Is it clear to all of you? Okay, and after that we will do value of supply. After that we will do value of supply under GST, that is your section 15 plus rules. You did not have CGST rules of valuation in intermediate level, so we'll do that CGST rules, rule number 27 to 35 of CGST rules, and after that we will do place of supply. So this is our agenda for few of the coming days. Do you all agree with me? The agenda. After place of supply, we will do time of supply. Okay, time of supply. POS section 10, 11, 12, 13 of IGST Act. And time of supply section, what sections? Time of supply 12, 13, 14 of CGST Act. So are you getting our agenda for few of the coming days, for few of the coming sessions? So my dear YouTube student friends, keep on following. I am quite sure that you will get treasure of knowledge. Friends, I am quite sure you have subscribed to the channel and you have hit the bell icon. Thank you so much for being such wonderful audience. I'll see you in the next session. If you have liked the session, do share it with your friends. Let them know that such type of, conceptual sessions of CA final IDT are happening. Of course, as you all know, this is a main batch. So yes, few demo sessions on YouTube. Then we are going to go live in our app. So 100% sessions will be live, and you will be also getting recordings of this session. Okay, laptop version you will be getting. So nicely you can follow them. Thank you so much. See you in next session. Till then, your tax mentor from Zest Learning, CA Pratik Neve, signing off. Bye bye, guys.